Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
Good, thanks for asking. Sorry, I'm having some technical issues with my computer. I'm installing a computational software for chemistry, and that is driving my laptop a little bit crazy.
Okay. All right. You have me at a disadvantage because you didn't tell me who you are, your LinkedIn profile, or why we're having this conversation. So maybe we can start there.
I think we met before about a year ago.
Okay. I talk to
Uh,
80 people a day, so
so, where to start? Well, obviously, um, I'm Ed. You can call me Ed. Right now, I'm working on two different companies. One of them is a company that produces sugar-free chocolate.
okay, I remember.
The other company is a new development. I developed a new type of sugar substitute that can replace sugar and all the other sweeteners altogether.
Okay.
My background is in science. I have a PhD in biochemistry, and that's why I got involved into the sugar-free side and the sweetener side, because my mission is to help people to cut down on sugar without sacrificing, obviously, the taste.
Okay. Forgive the skeptical side of me because you've got all these sugar substitutes and they all taste awful and they all have side effects.
You're right.
So how is yours different?
Well, because of what you mentioned right now, I spent quite a bit of time trying to uh, how to overcome those limitations. And the answer is I found a way to modify, let's say, different natural compounds in a way that they behave basically like sugar. They're natural compounds that behave like sugar, but they're not digestible. So what I'm trying to say is I found a way to create a sugar that is not absorbed by the
Okay.
body.
And that's a good thing. So if it's not absorbed, it doesn't turn into fat.
No,
Okay.
if it's not absorbed, it doesn't turn into fat, it doesn't increase blood glucose levels, it doesn't affect our physiology by itself.
So my coffee would taste better because it tastes like crap with no sugar.
Um, Agree.
Because the reason why I drink coffee is because it started out being a treat. I used to drink double doubles, right? But
Ooh,
because I'm getting older and I play less sports, I'm putting on weight. So you're saying that could help me.
indeed,
Okay.
indeed.
Well, that's interesting. So
So the sweetener itself is a 35 billion industry, just a sweetener itself.
mhm,
Sugar replacement and sugar substitutes. And sugar industry is obviously like four times that.
okay.
We believe we have a solution that can transform that industry altogether and allow people to enjoy sweet treats without risking their health.
Okay. And you have you tested from outside labs or do you have reports from
Right now, we're at the lab stage, bench stage, where this is active development.
okay.
And we're also raising funds to continue that development, or also working on a patent with an IP firm to obviously protect the IP.
Okay. All right. And what type of patent are you applying for?
Right now, we're doing a provisional to get all the information we need, lab information, to do the full patent application.
Okay.
And
So
it's a product patent,
it's a what patent?
product, product.
Product patent. Okay. Um, okay. I'm sure you know once China gets a hold of this, if this is as big as you say it is, they're going to copy it, whether you have a patent or not, right?
Yeah, everything that is good is worth copying. That's what they believe.
Yeah.
That is gonna be, obviously, I'm 100% sure a bunch of people will try to copy this. But honestly, Leo, the science behind this is not it's not like copying a PowerPoint presentation. Is insanely difficult. That's the main reason nobody has had come up with this so far.
But once you go to market, if I were to get a sample of your sugar and take it to a lab and say, tell me what's in this, couldn't they break it down and tell me exactly what's in there?
Yeah, they will be able to tell. We'll tell them what is in there, because we have to disclose that information, and it's gonna be a sugar-free sugar compound, natural compound. But what they won't know is how to make it.
Okay, so it's
So
the
we have
manufacturing process that you're trying to protect.
Two things. The product itself, we can protect the structure and the the final product itself, because right now we're dealing with 15 novel molecules. Once we patent those molecules, from one end, we have protection for that type of structure. And secondly, once we get the processes, then we patent the processes. Why we go first with the structures? Because structures we can enforce.
Okay.
Because they're new molecules,
all right,
natural molecules, we can enforce that. And anybody producing this structure is obviously infringing. And the methods are harder to enforce. Therefore, we're going to do that secondary.
Okay. Before we get too deep into this rabbit hole, what's the purpose of this call? What are you trying to accomplish on this call?
I was very interested when you sent me the text. I remember our previous call a year ago, and from what I read, it looks like the concept we spoke about last year has evolved. And I was really interested to know, how did you participate in an existing business in a way to make it, to bring it to the next level? And how does that work out for both parties?
Okay. There's about 30 different ways we do that. One of the more successful ways that we've kind of redesigned recently is what we call the CEO program, the interim CEO program. And that was mainly designed for the past 20 years or so. That was mainly designed for the 52% of the companies that we analyzed that are within weeks or months of bankruptcy. And it was really designed and only used for that purpose, to turn the company around very quickly. But what we found in the last couple of years is that even with companies that are not in trouble, we can get them to the next level by using that same program. If you understand why companies get into trouble, it's mainly because of mindset. Okay. And the conversation that I have on LinkedIn every single day confirm there's a lot of companies that have the wrong mindset, right? If companies have the wrong mindset and they're not seeing the world as it is, they're living in their own world and they're making decisions in a vacuum, yes, which makes no sense. And the second part of that is we find that most companies are doing everything by trial and error. Well, the business wheel has been invented, so there's no point in wasting 20 or 40 years redesigning the business wheel. All we need to do is find the right one and plug it in, right? So that's a couple of examples how we help. Actually, I'll give you a case study that might help you. We are working with two different roofing companies right now. And one of them we're using, actually both of them are using the interim CEO program. But the first one is a 25-year-old roofing company. They've been in business for 25 years. When we sat down for lunch, I told them right off the top, within half an hour, I said, the way you talk about your company, I can smell burnout. You are burnt out, right? Any couldn't admit it, wouldn't admit it, whatever reason. And I said, we're going to have to develop strategies to sell this company because there's no way of really getting around burnout, right? So selling the company is going to be the strategy. Then we started working, and about 16 months of us working with this company and developing great strategies and designing 6 other companies and putting this company on the marketing, stuff like that. What I found was every time we did something, and this is the second time that I've come across in severe sabotage. He was sabotaging his own company. We talk every 2 or 3 days, and he still doesn't see how he's sabotaging his own company. Okay, because one of the reasons is when you're doing something for 25 years, you get into this mindset that everything you've done, you stay in your comfort zone, you know what works for you, and you stay in your comfort zone. Anything slightly outside that comfort zone, you've already tried, you've already proven to yourself it doesn't work. So you're going to sabotage that because you want to stay in the comfort zone. Okay. Yeah. So to make a long story short, we've been working with them for 16, 18 months. And even though he's happy with the progress, it's been horrible progress. It's been, I'm not proud of that project. Let me give you another comparison. We've been working with another company that's 4 years old, right? We started working with them 5 years ago, on and off, on and off, on and off. They're going to do $27 million this year. Exact same product, residential roofing, right? Different city, but the exact same product. So how can one company go from, in 25 years, get to $2.2 million? Another company in 4 years get to 27 million doing the same products, right? One has the right mindset, the other one doesn't, right? And how we get the fastest way to get through the mindset is what we call the interim CEO program, even though we're not having a lot of success with this guy, but it's still our best program.
You bring in a person to be the interim CEO, and the CEO, actually, I am imagine kind of shadows the interim CEO. Is that it? How?
No, he becomes the CEO. Until we hire a permanent full-time CEO for the company, he becomes the CEO with full authority. Okay. One of the first things that I had him do, and this is a project he sabotaged, because it took 3 months to say, we're not making progress. We're not doing this. I'm flying in. I'm going to stay there for 3 months. I'm going to be your interim CEO. We're going to change all the things that I want to change that you've agreed were the right things to do. Right?
Okay, yeah.
We're going to put all these things in place. We're not going to use any of the excuses that you're using, and we're going to put these things in place, right? It took him quite a while to agree, and it was actually the operations manager that said, no, we got to do this, right? You said we're going to do this. We're going to do it. So he pushed the owner to do this. Yeah. So finally, he sent out an email to all his employees saying, I'm stepping away from the CEO. I'm still the owner, but we've hired someone, right? Okay. Mixed reviews from the employees, and we expected that, right? Yeah. Then we started moving this. We started hiring people for the office. We started putting software in place. We started doing marketing. We started doing a lot of different things. Okay. But in terms of marketing, there's a lot of detail here that I don't have time to really explain what it is. Yeah. But in broad strokes, one of his concerns was in 25 years, he was never able to get quality people, right? He had a revolving door with people. Yeah. Right? Because even though he thought he was a great boss, he was a horrible boss. Okay. He treated people like shit, even though he thought he was treating them well.
That's toxic.
Very toxic. So it was a toxic environment. And this is why he was pushing a lot of people away. And this is why when we advertised to get people for his company under his current company name, we could get no one because he basically destroyed the market. He had a reputation already, right? Because the roofing industry in the city is a very small industry. Everybody
Yep.
talks to each other, right? But when we created another roofing company and we advertised for this new roofing company, and we called it Wow One Day Roof, we got a lot of people applying for that company. Then in the interview process, they would ask, how long has this company been in business? I said, well, this is a new division. You're really working for this other company. Oh, right. Then that's
Yeah.
where the interview would stop. Okay. So I'm a firm believer, and statistics shows that in order to get quality people, it has to be a byproduct of an efficient marketing system. Okay.
Yes.
And recently we were able to triple his workforce, even though he could never do that in 25 years. We tripled his workforce. Okay. What I'm trying to say is there are stuff that he agrees upon, then he goes home at night and says, well, this is scary. I don't know if I want to do this. If I increase the size of my business, what's going to happen? I can't even do the work that I have right now. And a couple of years ago, I was 5 months behind on work. I had to return deposits, and the brain starts working and he can't sleep. Right.
Yes. Makes sense.
And this is where the interim CEO program comes in. I make the decisions. I fly in, I stay in the company. We turn the company around. We implement things. We put things in place, because most business owners believe in doing one thing at a time. And he was typical of that, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to focus on hiring employees, right? Then they hire employees, then they don't have enough work for them, right? Then they focus on getting work, then you don't have enough employees to do the work. So you can't do things you don't buy a truck one piece at a time. You need the whole truck, right?
Yeah.
You need the whole business, not part of the business.
So I see, well, I booked a time because I see potential for one of the companies, the sugar-free chocolate company, for several reasons. So help me to understand if this is applicable to this company and if you see it can be done. This sugar-free chocolate company, we have local retailers. So basically what we do is we manufacture, right now we manufacture at a tiny lab scale this.
Okay.
Different flavors, and then we send it to the retailers, typical B2B business model. We're updating that business model to be able to scale up that by a lot. And then this is what I'm thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong. We bring in a CEO, professional CEO. I step down as the CEO, and then I kind of be the owner and maybe not consultant in terms of the science behind all that stuff. Maybe CTO or something. I don't know. How do we pay these people? How do we pay the CEO? We're also raising funds to set up a small manufacturing facility here in Nova Scotia. How do we structure the payment to the CEO and the funding we need to scale up? Because that's what we're doing right now. We're trying to scale up this thing.
Okay, great question. I think we need to build a little foundation before we ask that question. First, we need to know what your strengths and weaknesses are, because I'm getting the impression that I'm going to label you as a scientist for this conversation.
You're right.
Label you as a scientist.
You're right.
A scientist to me is very close to an engineer or an accountant. The mindsets are almost the same. Okay. Yep. We have a running joke for the past 40 years in the consulting industry. And the running joke is, if you want a company to fail, put an engineer at the head of that company.
I've heard that. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Or put an accountant at the head of that company, because engineers and accountants are statistical type people and they look backwards, right?
Yes. And this book also says that.
Right. DMF. So, so one of the things we have to do, because I talk to a lot of eds every day, a lot of business owners. So I have to read between the lines, because what Ed tells me and what his body language tells me and what his LinkedIn profile and his Facebook and his company telling me is usually different, right? Because Ed believes this is my problem, when in reality, I know this is his problem.
Yeah.
And to prove that point, we've analyzed literally thousands and thousands of business in our 40-year career. I started my first construction business when I was 17 years old. So I've talked to a lot of different management styles, and each time that I fly in to meet with someone like you or to do a forensic analysis of the business, one of the first questions that I ask is, Ed, what do you think is your biggest issue within the company? And he tells me, I write it down or I record it on a video like this. Then at the end of the forensic analysis, we ask the same question again. 100% of the time, the problem you thought was the problem at the beginning, at the end, when we show you what you're doing well and what you're doing that could be improved upon, 100% of the time, you tell me what I thought was a problem was not the problem.
So and that makes sense, 100%.
Yeah,
total sense.
So in other words, when Ed is trying to solve his current problems and he's hiring experts to solve the wrong problem.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah, because it's a problem from my perspective.
From your perspective, yes.
Exactly. So the problem from my perspective is going to be usually pointed to most of the time towards the wrong direction. Now, because I'm cognizant of that and my own limitation, that's the main driver why I thought, well, this is interesting. This could solve the actual business. So the actual, what I call business problem, and is my lack of business experience. My lack of, I'm a scientist.
Okay.
Right. And I know that. So that's what I like about the program. What I don't know is how do we get this to work in this setting in a way that could be obviously beneficial for both parties, let's say.
Right.
That's the first thing. And the second thing is because
let me answer the first thing so we don't get too far off track.
Yeah.
The first thing we do is to figure out how we can get a meeting of the minds. Okay. Because you and I need to be like this.
Yeah.
Okay? We can't be like this. We have to have the same goals, same vision, same business blueprint, same marketing system, same everything. Because if you and I don't agree on you are here, you want to be here, and this is how we're going to do it, right? If we don't agree on every step of that process,
I know.
That's where you start sabotaging. That's where you start losing sleep at night. That's where you turn your people against me.
Exactly. I'm sure that it's going to take a lot more time because that is a lot of information and detailed information. Right. I'm just trying to get a general understanding of can we do it?
Well, we've worked on more than 1,000 companies. The closest one to your industry is the restaurant industry. Okay. We haven't, or the manufacturing industry. You're probably more in the manufacturing industry than you are in the restaurant industry. Yeah. We've worked on hundreds of those companies. Sugar-free products, again, the product is the product. The product represents about 10% of the overall business blueprint, 10%, right? You are the expert in the product. I know nothing about the product, right? Yeah. But we do know how to do efficiency studies. We know how to do a lot of different things with the product itself, right? And coming up with different products or different SKUs to accompany that product. That stuff we do. The actual product, you are the expert. But what we're really talking about is the 90%, the other 90%, the business blueprint, the aggressive marketing system, the system to attract and motivate people, and so on. That's what we focus on.
Yeah.
Now, one of the questions that I would ask Ed is, do you see yourself as a sugar-free product, or do you see yourself as a company that's one of the products is a sugar-free product?
Oh, sugar-free company with a different type of products.
If you see yourself as a company first, right, I can help you. If you see yourself as a sugar-free product, I'm going to have a really hard time with you because you are not a sugar-free product.
No.
Right?
No.
You are a company that produces sugar-free products, which means you have to obey successful business policies that work for other companies. It doesn't matter what the product is.
I know.
Okay.
And in that regard, we're on the same page. The product to me is a company, not what the company produces.
Okay.
That's the way I see it. So the company is what we have to work on, and what the gadgets the company produces is just how the company brings in revenues.
Right. Okay. So you're in the process of raising capital. How much capital do you need?
That is 400K.
Okay.
Could be less depending on the business model, and we're exploring two different type of business model right now. A quick overview is we have a few POs for $70,000, $40,000, and on. So customers are asking us if we can produce our sugar-free chocolate for them, private label. In the most recent business model, because of the specificity of the industry, we developed a recipe, produce in-house the core component, and then send that to a handful of contract manufacturers to get the scale and distribution. So to recap, we make the IP formula recipe, do just the core ingredients, send it out to contract manufacturers, and then work with distributors and with marketing to get the products moving in different marketplaces.
Okay. All right. Now you've been at this for a while. You had chocolate on the shelves when we talked before, didn't you?
Back then, no.
No?
Well, I was working on the concept, but still was not on the shelves. Oh, no, you're right. I did have chocolate on the shelf, but was really early.
Okay. Okay. And tell me about your people. You have advisors right now?
Yes.
Okay. Who are they?
Couple of I have like 3 mentors, which are mentors / investors.
Okay.
2 accountants. One of them is CFO of one company. Yeah, those are the advisors.
Okay. All right. And tell me about your staff. Who do you have on board?
Just me.
Okay.
Just me.
Okay. And goals, where do you want to be? How long have you been trying to raise 400,000?
Let's say about 6 months.
6 months, okay. I believe on the last call, I mentioned that we have relationships with investors. We've funded $100 million companies. Now, these investors would probably look at this but they're going to need to see, I'm not going to say a huge upside, but they're going to want to see an upside. They're going to want to see a return on investment.
Of course.
There's a lot of money available on the street. Okay. A lot of money available, but everything that's being presented to them right now is mediocre. Really doesn't build anything for them in terms of getting a return on investment or leave a legacy. Okay. A legacy is important to these investors. They want to be proud. Yeah, look what we've done. They want their kids to be proud of that, right?
Yeah.
So that's important. And this could lend itself to that part of the legacy part of it. Do you have a package to show investors yet, or?
Yes, but it's only for the new sugar substitute.
Okay.
I don't have that for the sugar-free chocolate because, Leo, what happens is this originally was only one company, but through the iteration and evolution, I was forced, if you will, to go down into the science of how I make sugar-free chocolate. And that was the beginning of the new sugar substitute, which is now in the process of separating, because one is going one way and the other is going a different way. So I don't have a deck for the chocolate side, chocolate company.
Okay. Is that chocolate available in Ontario? I'm in Toronto today. I would like to taste it.
No.
Okay. Maybe you can ship me a couple of bars. I would like to. My
Yeah,
girlfriend
please send me your any address. I can send it to.
I would have you send it directly to my girlfriend. Is this white chocolate or dark chocolate?
Dark.
Dark. Okay. She would be the expert. She has a bar of dark chocolate on a daily basis.
Nice.
So she is the expert. So I'll send you her address and I'll ask for her opinion. So
what are we going to use the funds for? First of all, we have to talk about the business model in detail. Right now, this is a super high overview. To be able to set up this core facility and then leverage that to have distributors in different marketplaces. Okay. Instead of building a massive manufacturing facility with this core element, we get to work with distributor in Belgium, in the US, in Canada, because we just hand the product ready for final packaging and the final step of the process. Okay. Before we can be closer to where the customer is.
Okay. So you're sending the concentrate. Let's call it a concentrate.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's like the Coca-Cola business model.
Okay. All right. I'm just wondering if you've done enough testing. How many reviews are on the product so far?
Oh, a handful.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say a couple of thousand.
No. And this is obviously a consequence of, again, business mindset, owner mindset. Okay. Because it's only one person and doing a million things at the same time. I really didn't pay attention at all, and I'm not doing it yet. I'm not currently doing it to all the marketing and all the things that are involved in increasing awareness.
Okay.
So what we have is we know they're doing well in the stores we're selling them. People like them, but you have to try yourself. Okay. People love it. When they try, they love it.
Okay. I'm going in two different directions right now because my first instinct would be to keep this as top secret until and do some testing.
Yeah.
Even put Hershey's on the bar to not divulge any secrets, but Hershey's A, Hershey's B, Hershey's C, and Hershey's D, and so on, and do testing that way, because I would not want to let this cat out of the bag.
Yeah.
The problem with that is you are already in some stores.
Yeah.
So you're already exposing yourself to the copycats. So that would be one of my concerns. So keeping the testing in that same area, I'll give you an example, and I might have shared this with you before. We have been working for 3 years, almost 3 years now. It's an automotive aftermarket product. Okay, I might have told you this the last time we talked. It's been 3 years we've been testing this product, because when we launch this product, the company is going to be a $100 million company in the first 12 months. Okay. Again, the reason why we're being so secretive and so aggressive when we launch is because China is going to copy this product. It's an automotive aftermarket product. They're going to copy it like that. But the goal is, if we're so aggressive coming out of the gate, we gain market share.
Yeah.
China's going to say, oh, well, it's too late. They've got 30% of the market share already. Let's find an easier product.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the idea behind that. I would have kind of liked to have used the same strategy for yours, but you're already out of the gate.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because the brand itself is pretty much unknown, except for locals.
Okay.
You're in Halifax within Nova Scotia. Therefore, if let's say you select a niche site to try this out, it's gonna work out perfectly, because if you remove the label, you don't have to use Hershey's. If you remove the top label,
right,
it's a sugar-free chocolate bar. That's it.
Yeah.
And then people will go by dark chocolate without sugar. How does it taste? I'm pretty sure it tastes bad. That's what they think usually, until they try. So that's one way I see you can do some of that testing. But that was one way. And what is the other way? You mentioned your thought was going one way, doing testing.
Well,
secret
we
testing.
have to do testing no matter what we do.
Exactly.
Okay. Testing is important, because testing will also be part of the marketing process.
Yeah.
And the marketing budget on something like that should be $500,000, should be $1 million. It should be pretty substantial.
Yeah.
And when you ask for $400,000, I'm thinking, is that enough? Because you're looking at the manufacturing process, you're not looking at the whole business, right?
You're right.
Because marketing alone, getting video testimonials and having the retailers come to you.
Yep.
Because if Walmart calls you and says, I've watched the videos, can you send me some samples? I want to see what this stuff is, right? If Walmart comes to you, now you don't have to go to them.
And that makes a whole lot of difference.
Right. So, and that would be our strategy. And that's using the carrot or the third-party testimonial type marketing. And because you're not going to have $1 million for marketing. I know that already. So you have to be extremely creative on how these retailers are going to come to you and beg for the product.
Yep.
You have to have that. So, we're trying to accomplish too much on a Zoom call.
I know. But at least we're getting a better understanding.
Sorry, what I was about to say is, if Halifax wasn't still in lockdown form, I would say, let's get together, let's start with lunch, and let's talk about this, because I would see us having 3 or 4 or 10 dinners before we get to where we need to be, right? Because you and I really have to have a meeting of the minds.
Yep. So how do we do that?
Well, if I come out to Halifax, what am I going to see? I can see your current manufacturing facility.
Yeah.
There's no employees that I can really interview. You have no office. You work from your home, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm wondering if it's better that you come to Toronto. There's no restrictions in Toronto in terms of COVID.
No, but yeah, that is one option. That is one option, yeah.
Because if I come to Halifax, I would love to come to Halifax, and I've been trying to get to St. John's, Newfoundland. We've had 3 trips canceled already, and I have clients in the Halifax area as well. It would make sense for me to come out there, but the problem is I have to quarantine for 14 days.
No, if you're vaccinated, right? Did you get the 2 shots? No. Okay,
I
that
don't believe in
is
the vaccine.
so. That is, yeah. That's the thing with Halifax. If you come, you have to say, yeah, 14 days. Yes.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, British Columbia, anywhere else is not a problem. It's Newfoundland, Newfoundland and Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia, yes,
Yeah.
I know. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're asking people to quarantine for 2 weeks. Oof. Okay.
Where are you in Halifax?
Up Williams Lake Road, let's say, are you familiar with Halifax?
Somewhat. How far are you from the downtown core?
Like maybe 12, 15 minutes.
Okay, you're pretty close.
Yeah. So they're very close to the Armdale roundabout.
Okay.
Or the other point of reference is the Halifax Yacht Squadron, or I'm trying to remember the name of the. So yeah. Anyways, it's not far, really far away from downtown.
So one of the questions that I would have for you that would determine whether we work together or not is, are you ambitious? Because a lot of times, again, going back to this 25-year-old roofing company, I'm in the process of firing him because even though he's paying his fees, he's not making enough progress. And at the end, I'm going to look bad. Even though he's happy with what we're doing,
Yeah.
he's not growing fast enough, right? I can't use him as a testimonial and say, he was at 2.2, now he's at 5. I can't do that.
Okay.
He was at 2 million, now he's at 2.2. To me, that's a miserable failure, right? But he's happy.
No. So to answer the question is, the way I see it is, or we do this big or we don't do it.
Okay.
Period. Because I've done this already at the tiny scale, and my lesson is, or you do it big or you don't do it.
Okay.
Period.
All right. Is there anyone else doing this? Is there a comparable product?
There are a handful of products from mainly US, and there are a couple of them from Canada. So one of them that is doing something similar is Ross Chocolate out of BC.
Okay.
And the other from the US is Chalk Syrup.
Okay. And they taste about the same, or what's the advantage, disadvantage with your product?
We don't use sugar alcohols.
Okay.
99% of the chocolates in the market that claim sugar-free or no added sugar, they use sugar alcohols, and sugar alcohols are famous for laxative effects.
Okay.
So,
what about corn syrup or anything like that?
nope.
Do these other companies use corn syrup even in small amounts?
Which Chalk Zero, I believe, was using a year ago corn-based fibers.
Okay,
We don't use corn at all.
okay. What's a product I'm trying to think of that's bad for the environment that's produced in third world countries? That's kind of a sugar substitute. Again, my girlfriend is the expert in this area. I'm not.
Okay, bad for the environment, and it's used as a sugar substitute.
Hmm. Is it corn oil or something like that?
No, well, maybe you're talking about palm oil.
Palm oil. Okay. How is that produced?
The palm oil, no, we don't use palm oil. And it's bad for the environment because it's kind of very destructive. They basically cut everything down to grow palms.
Right. Okay. That's what I was referring to. And your product doesn't use that, and your competitors' products don't use that either.
Nope.
Okay.
So the main differentiator is, how do you make chocolate sugar-free without sugar alcohols that taste good? That's the thing.
Okay. Does it have that dark chocolate bitter after effect, aftertaste?
Depending on the flavor, the answer is no. But they all, because it's dark chocolate, they do all preserve a hint of the dark chocolate profile, which is for dark chocolate lovers what they want. The answer is no. It doesn't have a strong, bitter, astringent taste. No.
Okay.
But
And
don't
what-
take my word for it. You have to try yourself.
Okay. And what are the main benefits? I mean, dark chocolate, people eat dark chocolate. My girlfriend eats dark chocolate because it's good for her.
Yeah.
Will she have the same health benefits from your dark chocolate?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually more. So this is a triple benefit. You get the benefit of the antioxidants of dark chocolate. In other words, the benefits of dark chocolate. Second, you don't get the risk of sugar consumption, which is by default benefit. And the third benefit, key benefit, is high in fiber, therefore is good for your gut health.
Okay. All right.
And there is a subtle key benefit, and it's the fourth, and it's dark chocolate, but it's not extremely bitter, and it's actually relatively sweet. It's more palatable. So what I'm talking about is now the chocolate experience. How is a chocolate experience? It's something that you eat because it's good, or you eat because it's a pleasant experience.
Okay.
So we try to keep it as a pleasant experience. People can enjoy and keep eating without, oh, I eat this because it's good.
Okay. Yeah, I eat it because it's good and it tastes like crap.
There.
Like fish oil.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
But then again, the fish oil that I drink every day is a lemony thing. So I'm not sure how much benefit I'm getting, but it doesn't taste as bad as regular fish oil. So I tend to eat it every day. Okay. So what percentage of dark chocolate is? When you look at a Hershey bar, they always have a percentage on it.
So right now we have 51, 59, and 70%.
70%. Okay. So you're going for more of a flavor than the health part of it.
Well, 70% is
Pretty high. I
Yeah.
thought Hershey's had 80 or 90. Don't they?
Well, you can do 80 and 90% too, but I'm gonna share with you my experience with 80 and 90%.
Okay.
It's so bitter
Yes.
that only the hardcore dark chocolate lovers eat it. Therefore, we're aiming for a soup fraction of the market.
Okay.
Is better to go in kind of in between. Therefore, the market size is bigger. You get more consumers, and because ours is not as bitter, people feel more comfortable. Even milk chocolate lovers can eat our dark chocolate without feeling that strong rejection because of the bitterness.
Okay. Are you developing other products like Hershey's, like a Hershey's bar, something that's really, or an energy type or a meal replacement type bar? Are you going in that direction?
No meal replacement, but we do have other products. For instance, we have a sugar-free type of Nutella.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at it from here. Same is the same thing, exactly the same thing, except for it doesn't have sugar.
Wow. I have a Nutella sandwich almost every day.
It's delicious. It's the same as Nutella, but no sugar. So we have customers that want that product, retail customers that want that product too. So we have that. We have also sugar-free hot chocolate powder. Sachet, you can sell that as a sachet form, like single serving or food serving size, like a big bucket or something like that. We also have ice cream, and we have a powder blend that can be used to replace sugar in beverage, like kombucha, soft drinks, things like that.
Okay.
So that's so far the portfolio we have. All of these are formulations I created. But yeah, that's the IP.
You actually
portfolio.
produced the kombucha from scratch, or this is an additive you add to kombucha?
So for kombucha manufacturers, they just have to add it
Okay.
at the very last step of the production to get a nice sweetness without the sugar.
Okay.
And then they can claim no added sugar, which is a big competitor. It's a big claim right now in this marketplace.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how we're going to get through the skepticism, because everybody says healthy, sugar-free, until you read the fine print.
Leo, yes, my experience is the ultimate answer to that question is taste.
Yeah.
You can explain people for hours and hours and hours until people try. Is like you're trying to still convince them. That's the ultimate thing. So a good marketing strategy paired with demos and opportunity to try, low risk demos for consumers and buyers in general. That's, to me, that works.
I think we need to hire influencers on Instagram, Facebook, especially health related type influencers who can produce a video and say, hey, I really like this product, and look at the ingredient list and say, I really like this product from a taste perspective, but I really love it from an ingredients perspective. If we can get 10 or 20 influencers to say that,
yep,
right, and we can get that videos to go viral on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, we can start getting the retailers reaching out to you to give you pre-orders. And pre-orders, maybe we don't need the investors, because if you can take the pre-orders to the bank and borrow against the pre-orders, what happens when you bring investors in? The investor you have right now, how many investors do you have right now?
We're talking about 3, 4.
Okay. How did they invest in your company?
But remember, because it's easy to mix these two things. I only have investors for the new sugar substitute.
Okay.
I haven't really talked about investment. Well, I do have one investor for the the chocolate manufacturing business. I do have one, yes.
Okay.
Because his company wants us to produce functional sugar-free chocolate for them.
For them, okay. So they're really volunteering their time and lending you money in hopes of getting the product.
Yes.
Are you talking exclusivity for a certain market for them? What are their terms?
We don't have terms yet. where this is we just met today this morning.
Okay.
This is a very active conversation, ongoing conversation.
Okay. I would be careful with that, because his expectations, your expectations have to be in line again, right?
Yeah.
Because if he's thinking, I'm going to get exclusivity for this market, and you're thinking, no, that's too expensive. But then again, you have the rest of the world to contend with, right? So you can give him exclusivity for a market for 3 years or 5 years or something, but you got to know what he's thinking, because
right now, so I can share with you some information. Right now, his main target market is Europe, and we haven't he haven't mentioned at all any type of exclusivity or things like that, because as a matter of fact, the recipe, we own the recipe.
right.
So it's hard for him to claim exclusivity. What he's interested is in long-term partnership, win-win scenario type of partnership. And those are the terms we have to work out.
Okay.
How does it look like, that long-term partnership?
Okay. And
So-
on the other side, the investors, what did you promise them?
So the other side, we have evaluation, an official, let's say, evaluation of 3 million pre-money,
Okay.
and we're raising for 500K. Our last conversation last week, we kind of agree about doing a note
Okay.
instead of a safe, and we don't have the final terms yet. I have to meet at least 3 more venture capitals from the US, that one of them is bringing on board. So we should meet sometime in the next days.
Okay. Are you meeting on Zoom or face to face?
Oh, Zoom.
Zoom. Okay. Okay. I'm a little bit concerned that we're putting the cart before the horse. And we don't have the business blueprint in place. We don't have goals. We don't have
I
marketing.
understand that, but it's good for us, for both of us, particularly for your end, to know a little bit of the background information,
Mhm.
because it's kind of background information, basically what's going on over here with each one of these companies, and how do they relate to each other, and how do we kind of move forward. That's why I was thinking more for the sugar-free chocolate. We already have purchase orders. We have customers. We just, I had a meeting today with one person who is connected with Costco, and we learn about how is the system to get the product in Costco. What do we need to have in place to get it listed with Costco?
Okay. All right. Oh, I need to jump on another call in
I know.
30 seconds.
It took more time, but I think was great.
Absolutely. Let's end the conversation here. Let's both think about this a little bit. But no matter what, I liked your product the first time. I haven't tasted it. I like the strategy. If it is what you're saying it is, I think you have a huge upside. I would like to be part of it, or at least get to the next step where we test it and see if we can work together. And I believe I can help you either in an advisory role only, or interim CEO type role, or whatever you think is going to help you. But the more involvement there is, I believe the better. Because if we help you avoid making a $500,000 mistake, well, that's a mistake that never occurred, right?
Yep.
That's what we do. So give it some thought. I will send this video to you as well, so you can have another look at it, and maybe sit down with your current advisors and see if this makes sense to all of you. And at some point, we need to get together because Zoom, we can only do so much on Zoom, right?
Yeah.
Sitting down for lunch, sitting down for dinner, looking at all these things, discussing ideas, brainstorming, talking about soccer, then coming back to chocolate is where you get the ideas flowing, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I also have a team behind me that we can start, brainstorming as well. But give it some thought. Let's schedule another call in a couple of days, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
All right. Enjoy your day. Talk again soon.
You as well. Take care.
Thanks, Ed.